Hey, this is Steve with Dabble Lab, and in this video I'm going to walk through installing and configuring the Alexa Skills Kit CLI, or the ASK CLI. So let's go ahead and get started. To install the Alexa Skills Kit command line interface, or the ASK CLI, to install and configure it, there's a pretty good quick start guide on the Amazon developer site that walks through the steps, but there are a couple things that need some clarification in my opinion. So I'm going to step through this and just kind of tell you what's going on as we go through it. And I'll leave the link out to this guide in the notes. But for starters, there are a few prerequisites that you'll need to have covered before you can get the CLI installed and configured. You'll need to have Node installed, and you'll also want to have the Git client. It says that that is optional, but I don't think it is, because that is used for working with the templates, and you definitely want to have that capability. So the first thing on Node, it says Node 4.5 or greater, but I would recommend using the latest version of Node that's supported by AWS Lambda. And right now, as of the time that I'm recording this video, which is May 2018, the current runtime environment that's supported by AWS Lambda is 8.10. So I would recommend having Node 8.10 installed. And to find out if you're working on a Mac or Linux, you probably have Node and Git installed. And you can find out by going to your command line, your terminal in Mac or Linux, and just type Node and then -- version. Oops. Like that. And that'll tell you what version of Node is installed, if Node is installed. If it isn't installed, you'll get an error, not found, and you'll know that you need to install Node in that case. And same with Git. Git -- version, like that, will tell you what version of Git you have installed. And you need both of these again. If you don't have them installed, or you don't have a current version, you can grab those at Node. Well, you can get Node at nodejs.org, and just go to the downloads and grab the download that is right for your environment. And it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And there's really good installation instructions, so I'm not going to walk through installing Node. Same goes for Git. If you go to git-scm.com and then go to downloads, there is a version for Mac, Windows, and Linux. And again, really good installation instructions, pretty straightforward. So I'm not going to go through those. But once you get Node and Git installed, then you can go back to your command line, run -- version for Node and Git to confirm that they're all installed and ready to go. And at that point, you're going to be ready to install the ASK CLI. And I actually have it installed, so I'm going to uninstall it just so you can see. I think it's installed ASK. Yeah, I do have it installed, so I'll uninstall it. And I'm just uninstalling now so that I can walk through the steps. So to install it, you're going to use npm, and npm is installed when you install Node. So it's installed with Node. It's the Node package manager. So on a Mac, you might need to use sudo. I'll try it without, just so you can see the error. In my case, I do, but you would go npm install. And then we're going to want to install it globally. So you use -g, and then it is ask -CLI, just like that. So this is the command that you want to run, just like that. And run, and I think this is going to give me some errors. Yeah, so I need to use sudo. So I would do sudo, and then the same command, npm, and then install -g, and then ask CLI, like that. Yeah, so on mine, because I've been installing and uninstalling it, it gives me this warning here that you probably are not going to get. This is permissions on one of the folders. But after you install, and then if you run ask -- version, you can confirm that it's installed. And so right now the current version is 1.3.1, and this is May 2018. So you should see whatever the current version is after you do the npm install. And at this point, we're all ready to configure the ASK CLI, but there's a couple of prerequisites to configuring also. So you're going to want to have an AWS account and also an Amazon developer account. And those are two different accounts. So the AWS account you get at aws.amazon.com. And you do have to provide a credit card, but there's a free tier that provides very generous, lots of room to dabble and even grow. So with Lambda, which is most of what you're going to be using, it provides 1 million free requests per month, and that's quite a bit. So you want to, if you don't have one already, sign up at aws.amazon.com, and you also want to sign up at developer.amazon.com if you don't have these already. And when you do this, you want to use the email address when you're registering, the same email address for your AWS and your developer account. And you also want to use whatever email address you use as your primary Amazon account. So the account that you set up your Amazon Echo with, if you have an Echo, which you don't need an Echo to do Alexa development, but if you have one and you've set it up, use the same email address because it'll make it easier to test with your Echo if you do that. Okay, so once you have your AWS account and your Amazon developer account set up, we can go back over here to the instructions and the quick start guide. And I want to talk about a couple of things here. So in the guide, they say the next thing that you want to do is ask init. And the init command is going to initialize the CLI to work with your Amazon developer account. But there's a good chance, if you're just getting started with this, that you don't have an account set up for your Amazon Web Services that the CLI will be able to use. And this kind of looks like something that is not really an important step, but if you're doing this for the first time, it is. So down here, you want to jump over to this setup credentials for Amazon Web Services. And so you need to set up a user account for your AWS account, for your Amazon Web Services account that is available to the ASK CLI. And this is not as confusing as I am making it sound, I think, but what you want to do is you want to copy this profile JSON right here, and then you want to go to your AWS and you want to sign in with your AWS account, and then we're going to create a new profile and a new user that the ASK CLI is going to use to deploy Lambda functions for your Alexa skills. And you're going to use IAM, which is the Identity and Access Manager inside of your AWS console. And here, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to set up a policy. And the policy type that we're going to be setting up is a customer managed policy. And I just selected that to show you. I don't have any set up right now. So I'm going to create a policy. And then I'm going to go to the JSON tab here and paste in that JSON that I copied from the setup guide. Okay, and then I can go review policy down here and give it a name. And I'm going to call this my ASK CLI policy. And give it a description. And then I can go create policy. And that's all I need to do to set up my policy. Now I need to set up a user that is going to use that policy. And so I go over to users and then add user, and I'm going to call this user my ASK CLI user. And you want programmatic access, and you also want AWS Management Console access. I'm going to just stay with the auto-generated password. You can change that if you want, and I'm going to uncheck this require password on reset You can do that or not do that if you want. And then go next, and then under set permission for Ask CLI for the user, I'm going to attach that policy that I just created. So attach existing policy, and then if I change the policy type to customer managed, I'll see the one that we just created here, and I want to select that and then choose next. And then review this here, all looks good, and then create user. And now at this point, what I'm going to need is this secret access key and the access key ID, these two things. This secret access key you don't want to share with anybody. I know I'm showing it here for this video, but I'm going to just delete this user when I'm done recording this, so it won't matter. But in real life, you definitely do not want to show this to anybody and or share it, but you will need to use it to configure the CLI. So you want to copy that and just go paste it somewhere because we're going to need it. I'm going to just go like this. And then over here, the access key also. And you can download these if you want to copy. You have one chance to do that right here. And I'm just going to paste it for right now. And you don't need to do this. I'm just doing this because I want to save them for use after this video is done for a minute. So, but you do want to remember them because we're going to need them. So at this point, we've got our user set up for the AWS CLI in AWS. And if you've created your Amazon developer account, we've got everything that we need. Now we just need to link up the CLI or configure the CLI to use our AWS account. And this is another area in the quick start guide that's I think a little glossed over, but so down here it says the next step is just to use init. But if you haven't set up your AWS credentials locally, then this is going to get confusing. So what I would recommend is there is one step to do before. And right here, this link, it says for more information, see the init command. There's actually another command called this ask init -- AWS setup that will just let you set up the credentials for your AWS user first. And I would recommend doing that first. So you want to go over here and then you want to type in this command here. So this ask init AWS setup. So like this. And then it's going to prompt you for the profile name. And I would just leave this as default. And then I have one already. Do you want to override it? And I'll say yes, I'll fix this later. And then your AWS access key is that key that I copied. So I want that, paste that in. Then it's going to ask for my secret, which I want that. That's why I saved these before. You could also get them from, if you saved them in the browser, that would work too, or download it. And then at this point, now I've got my AWS profile set up locally. Now I need to initialize the CLI, the Ask CLI, with my Amazon developer account. And that links the two together. It's a little confusing, but not too bad. So ask init to do that. And then it's going to ask me to choose a profile. I'm going to just overwrite it. And then the next step is it asks me for my AWS profile. And this is what we just set up. So this default is for the Amazon developer account. And then this default is for the AWS account. And when I choose OK, it prompts me to log in with my Amazon developer account. So I'm going to log in like this. And then it says sign in was successful. And if I go back here, everything should be set up. So let's try this. let's see, where am I? Okay, so we can just confirm that everything is set up. If I do ask new like that, it'll ask me to type in my skill name, and I'll say demo skill. And it created my demo skill project right there, which is a folder, so I'll just move into it. That just to confirm. And now if I do ask deploy, and this video is not about using the Ask CLI, it's just getting it configured. So I'm just deploying right now to make sure that everything was set up properly. And so if you do ask new, just create a default new skill and then ask deploy. This will deploy the skill out to the Amazon developer portal and then also to the AWS console. So it'll deploy the Lambda function. And this takes a minute to go through all of this. So I will pause and then come back and show you what we got. Okay, so everything finished up and we didn't get any errors. So we can now go and just confirm that everything was deployed. And to do that, if we go to our developer console, the developer.amazon.com, and sign in. And go to Alexa here. My Alexa skills. And then I can see this is the demo skill here that just deployed. And so that's all set up, that's good. And all I want to do now is just go back to the AWS and to Lambda. You can just type here, and I want to see if my Lambda function was skilled. My Lambda function was deployed. And here it is, this. Yeah, so it looks like everything was deployed the way that it should be, and that is it. So that is deploying, or excuse me, installing and configuring the Ask CLI. Okay, so hopefully this video was valuable. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those and I'll respond just as soon as possible. If it was valuable, please like the video and subscribe to the Dabble Lab channel. Thanks so much.